Welcome to episode, I think it's episode 9, could be 8, could be 9, not 10, of the Bee and Rose podcast. I did that last week. I need to have it in front of me, don't I? Yeah, I'm on about take 27, so I'm just going to go with the flow. Whatever episode it is, you know better than I do, basically. Thank you for tuning in. I got loads of new subscribers last week, which was really exciting. Every time I logged on to YouTube, the number had gone up. And then I suddenly thought, maybe it's because I'm logging on. Maybe that's why the views and stuff have gone up. Anyway, whatever, I'm still happy. Hello, and thank you ever so much for subscribing and for just generally tuning in. Even if you haven't subscribed, it's fantastic. Gives my self-esteem a little boost every week. Maybe that's why I do this. I'm not sure. I haven't really got a set agenda. There's no kind of organised plan as to the where and why for of this podcast. It just kind of happens. I wonder if people do come into this with kind of like an end goal. Mine's just a personal challenge, really. It's just to make me do it. Yeah, just to make me sit in the shed on my own every week talking at the camera. And then just to see what happens. Just a thing. There you go. It's obviously part of my midlife crisis that I've set myself this challenge, but I'm just going to go with it. Yes, just going to roll on there. Yeah, so thank you so much for tuning in. It's really nice to have you here. I'm here in the shed again. It seems to be my regular podcasting venue. It's really easy. Everything's set up. All I've got to do is switch the flash on, attach the camera to the stand, and we're away. I've even got the table set up continually, even though every time I do a podcast I shift it around a bit because I can never seem to get the camera in the same place more than once. There you are. The kids are in the house watching the television. They're all square-eyed, literally glued to some kind of electronic device, which is good because they're quiet. Modern parenting at its best. And Mark's out with the dog. And we live in Durham in the north of England with Mark and I and our 3 girls. We've got a 3-legged cat and a little dog called Roxy, who was second-hand. She basically just lived in a crate in somebody's kitchen, although it's a cage, isn't it, in somebody's kitchen, so we decided to have her instead. And now she has a lovely life. It's starting to get a bit dark outside, so I hope the lighting's going to be okay. It's kind of the #1 thing, isn't it, that I worry about, the lighting. And I know that sometimes I can make it so that the bulb isn't reflected directly in my glasses. But it's like tonight, that's just where it wants to be. And to be honest, that might be for the best. Can you see how rough I look? Considering I'm totally kind of anti-body shaming, I still feel I need to apologise for how khaki I look this afternoon because I'm full of cold. Well, actually I'm not. Yesterday I went on a massive cleaning spree in the shed, and I wish I was all fancy and I could show you by rotating the camera, but that will never end well. And I think it's just kind of extreme dust exposure. It happens every now and again, like if I touch the cat for too long, so I'm really allergic to the cat. I've got no problem with popping loads of antihistamines. It's just that if something gets too much and I'm too allergic to it, I have this awful reaction for an entire day, which is like a really stinky, minging, horrible, disgusting cold. C'est la vie, it is what it is. But at least the skin hasn't started peeling off my nose yet, you know, the way that it does after you've had a cold and you've used really rough hankies, because you've basically got to grab anything that's within arm's length to use on your nose. After the podcast last week and the week before, I've had lots of messages to wish me well because I found a lump in my breast a few weeks ago, and I went to the breast clinic, had a mammogram and a sonogram. The sonographer was a little bit worried, so he did a biopsy. But I went for an appointment with the breast surgeon at 9 o'clock this morning, and it turns out that it was something called fat necrosis. Better title, people. How I mean, come on, it's terrible, isn't it? Fat necrosis? Dead fat in my bap, basically. And it's really difficult to diagnose it because it can present just like cancer in the, you know, the shape of it and everything. So whatever, anyway, they tested the biopsy and that's all it was. But they want me to go for another biopsy, and I'm just like, oh, I'm so over this now. I'm so finished. Just don't do anything else to me. It's fine. Just leave it. So anyway, I'm waiting for the appointment for that. But thank you so much for your well wishes. I really do appreciate it. Funny, isn't it, when things like this happen, you kind of reevaluate your Christmas card list. People who maybe should ask if you're alright just don't, and then other people that you've never met just give you all the love and all the feels, and it's great. So thank you very much, I really appreciate that. But all is well, so I can resume normal life, because last week was pretty stressful. I did a lot of knitting and I spent a lot of money on random woolly goodness, and I kind of should have been a bit better behaved, but it is what it is, and I'm not sending anything back. I love it, and I'll show you it later. Right, so before I lose the plot and before it gets dark and I completely forget what I'm doing, I'm going to definitely be doing the podcast into, oh yeah, it will be dark later, won't it? In 2 halves today, because I'm meeting my friend Sarah for a cup of coffee in about 20 minutes, and I think I'll probably be gassing on for more than 20 minutes. We're already at 7:44 and I haven't taken a breath yet. So I'll move swiftly on to my works in progress. I want to show you what I've got on the needles. A lot of it is just the same as in previous weeks because I feel like I haven't really made very much progress. However, I've got some new things to show you, and this is one of them. This is my hand-spun yarn. It was a custom blend from Wing and Wool Work. If you go onto their website, you can get like 500 grams for about 20 quid. It's lovely, and you can have silk added and stuff as well. And I thought, ooh, I'll get one that looks like a peacock. I spun it ages ago, and I didn't realise when I bought it to spin that when you spin, it's like if you've ever done any painting, if you have acrylic paints and or oils and you mix them together, the colours blend. I didn't realise, oh my nose is itchy, I didn't realise it would be exactly like that, but it is. And this is the end result of spinning and blending and knitting, and this is Tin Can Knits Estuary. And it's really hard to see because it's not finished and it's not blocked. I'm knitting it on 5mm straight needles. I've lost the other one, so I'm knitting it on 1 needle. So I might do what my friend Saran does, just for a little bit of a change, and use odd needles. It makes my teeth itch, the thought of that, but I might give it a go, just as a personal challenge. First world problems and all that. Yeah, so this is Estuary. It's lovely. You can, you've got like two separate sections. The top is kind of like a wavy section, estuary, I guess it's based on water, and the bottom is, it's so hard to show you, the bottom is kind of a wavy section as well, but it's got like a dividing line in it. Anyway, it's lovely. So hopefully I'll have this finished next week and I'll block it, because I'm going to give this to my BFF, my friend Emma, for Christmas. Oh, I wonder if you can see it. If you like it, if you like the look of it, if you think you might like the look of it, and if I big it up enough, you can always just go and have a look on Tinternet at the pattern, can't you? It's really nice. It goes quite long and thin, so you can make loads and loads of progress, and then eventually you build up your stitch count so that it's quite thick in the middle, and then from what I can remember, it goes long and thin again. The only problem that I'm going to have with this is, for some reason, whenever I put it down, I never mark where I'm at in the pattern. So there's a couple of times when I've just thought, oh, what's going on, where am I? And I can't figure out where I am. Yeah, but it looks alright, you can't tell, can you really? Emma will never know, she'll probably never wear it. So I'm not going to get overexcited about that. Yeah, and actually I hope my friend Sarah does text when she's sitting waiting for me to have a cup of coffee. Or she might think that I've just abandoned her. It's just suddenly popped into my head. So yes, that's Estuary by Tin Can Knits. I'll put all the details here somewhere so you can see them. I'll put a little note thing on the actual video, and then I'll put stuff in the drop down box and on my Ravelry group as well. Oh, I haven't done those bits, have I? So Ravelry, I'm Sylvie B, SYLVIE-BEA, but there is a Bee and Rose group where I put all of the notes from the podcasts and run cals and things. It's only little, but it's very good. So come on over here and say hello if you fancy it. On Instagram, BEA_and_rose, and Facebook is Bee and Rose. So yeah, that's where I am on Tinternet. So feel free to come and say hello. It'd be lovely to see you. If somebody's mowing the lawn. Random noises you hear in the shed, I never quite know what it is. Right, yeah, so that's Estuary. It's lovely, it's very quick, it's very easy, and I would definitely recommend giving that a go, and that'll be a nice Christmas present when I eventually get it done. And I can't remember what kind of yarn they use in the pattern. It's probably a fingering weight that they block out, but I think I showed you a while ago the Bella Botanica shawl that I knit using hand-spun yarn, and I can't spin lace weight. It just goes out. I think I overspin it, so it goes really brittle and snaps. So this is kind of, oh, I'd say it's a chunky, maybe a worsted weight. It's a bit chunkier than double knitting, and it's great, you know. I mean, you don't have to have a gauge for a shawl, just block it and it is what it is. So yeah, that's on the needles. I've done a little bit more work on Sunset Highway, though not massively. I'm nearly through one sleeve. I think I'm sitting closer to the camera than I usually do. I'm nearly through one sleeve, which I'm quite excited about, and I'm going to do quite a big rib section. I did start to do the colour work on the sleeve, as is set in the pattern, but I gave up because I didn't have enough of the yarn left, and it was, like I say, it was a bit stressful last week, which was when I was doing this, and really, I just wanted to knit something. I didn't want to have to keep looking at the pattern. I just wanted to totally zone out and just knit my thing, and that's what I did. So the other sleeve obviously is still to be completed, but I'd love to have that done for next week. And maybe I can take some photographs of Sylvie wearing it and drop them into the podcast. Solja feels all special in that, like. But yeah, isn't it lovely? When I was looking at the pictures on Instagram of people that were at Rhinebeck, see, look, looks like I've got it on. I could totally get away with that, couldn't I? Would you know? Would you even know? Would you know? Nah. That's what I'm going to do next week. Then you'll know, because I've told you. That's my cunning plan. Looks like my head's been chopped off and then restuck on, doesn't it? Right, yeah, looking at all the pictures of Rhinebeck. So wish I was there. Well jealous. And there were so many of these. So I think if I ever do go to Rhinebeck, I might look for something that not everybody else is going to have on. Even though it was lovely, and it must have felt amazing for Caitlin Hunter to see all of these pictures of people wearing the sweater that she designed. And I saw that, is it Kirsty or Christy Glass? She'd done like a photo montage of everybody that was wearing Caitlin Hunter's stuff at Rhinebeck. That must be quite a thing, eh? I was very impressed. So yes, I have made short progress on the Boiler Knitwork sweater, but I think it's looking great. I'll show you again. I've used my own, hang on, I'll just switch off and then switch on again, because this feels a bit uncouth. Whew, that's better. It's dark, isn't it? Anyway, there's nothing I can do about it. I don't have daylight hours within my power. This is my own hand dyed, and this was last month's Katie Club. It's based on Degas' 4 Dancers, and it's called Ballerina. And what I'm finding when I'm doing the club yarn, particularly for Katie and the artists, is that most of them have got blue and yellow in them. Most of the painting and most of the artists. I've done the Bathers this month, green and blue and yellow, and I had to put a little bit of pink in it because I just couldn't help myself. Well, more like a burgundy, because one of the guys in the picture's wearing a burgundy hat. But I think that, oh, I've got loads left. So I'll have used 2 skeins of fingering weight for the body and for the sleeves, and then really just a minimal amount for the colour work at the top. So yeah, that would be nice in a kit, wouldn't it? Depends on what size sweater you're in it, I suppose. I don't think it goes up to really big sizes, so you would never need that much. Right, so, and also I showed you this last week, and I've done a bit more on this. This is Tryster from the most recent Lane magazine. Whoops. And I've done a bit more on the low P. I put it down because I felt like I was allergic to the wool. So maybe this cold I've got here is not an allergy. Maybe it is just a cold, and maybe I'm not allergic to this wool. Maybe I just like had a heavy chest because I was going to get this stinking cold the day before I did my podcast. That's how it goes, isn't it? So again, I've been knitting on the sleeve, and really, little bee, our arms aren't that long, so I don't think it'll take me long to do this. I've put a line of stitching down the middle, and that's the line that I'm going to cut when I steek the cardigan, because it's a jumper on the pattern, but I'm going to make it into a cardigan. I just think it'll be more comfortable for her when it's this heavy yarn, and she's not used to wearing things like this. She's used to wearing kind of kitten soft clothing, so it might be a bit of a shock to my system, and I need to ease her in gently, or it'll just go horribly wrong. So that's the line of stitching I put in, just to keep me straight and to keep me right. So what I'm going to do with this next, I'm going to finish the sleeves, obviously, because I need to finish the sleeves, and then I'm going to knit the button bands. And to do that, I've got a massive amount of Steeking stitches here. I think I've got purl, knit 7, then purl, so that's 9 stitches altogether, which is quite a lot. But in the purl ditch, see there's a ditch Can you see me ditch? It's like a ditch where I've got the pearl stitches. So what I'll do is hold the yarn behind there and a little needle in front, and I'll dig through with a crochet hook and I'll pick up stitches all up the front of the cardigan, and then I'll knit those. Oh, I'll be able to show you on the next thing I have on my magic chair. I'll knit those up for the button band, and I'll do that at the other side as well. And then when I've sticked it, I'm going to crochet, put 2 rows of crochet at either side of my stick stitches. So, oh, this is so tricky. Hang on. There's got to be an knack to this and I haven't got it. So like, I'll catch in those 2 stitches there and those 2 there. They're either side of the row of yarn I've got up the middle, and I'll crochet them, and then I'm just going to cut it. I'm not going to put any reinforced stitches in it. It's not necessary. It's really, it's made for this kind of stuff, isn't it, this yarn? And I can't wait for her to put it on. I'm really looking forward to it. It's a shame there isn't another adult. Can I get away with that one as well, look? Yeah, another headless picture. There you go. Get in. Yeah, anyway, yeah. So one thing about this, when I first got the yarn, I was a bit disappointed because there didn't seem to be very much contrast between the light colours. I can't remember which ones they are, but actually on the camera they look completely different. And while I'm looking at them now, they do look completely different in this dull dark light. And now that they're knitted into the colourwork section, you can see the difference, can't you? You can definitely see that there's a lighter and a darker grey. Yeah. So I'm really excited to get this finished, but I haven't worked on it for a little while. I'm not quite sure what to do about the collar. If anybody's got any advice, I would love it. With just jumping into sticking it and not doing very much research about the collar first, I think I might have ballsed it up a bit. I feel like I should have done some rib. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I should try it on her. What do you think? If I try it on her before I cut it and just see what the neckline looks like. And if it's going to look really dodgy, I could pick up either side of the pearl stitches. I could pick up and then knit some rib, couldn't I? What do you think? Let me know what you think I should do, because on the pattern it's naturally just a rolled collar. She hasn't done any rib at all. It's just garter stitch on quite small needles, and then once you've done about a round, you go straight into the increases, so it pulls it in nice and tight. I love the way that I love the design. But it is quite a wide neckline, and I would be able to get away with some rib. It wouldn't make it too small for her. But if you know, let me know. Because although I feel like I'm just kind of fearlessly charge on with these things, I'm not scared of cutting knitting. I'm not scared of doing different things. It doesn't necessarily mean that I do it right. And yeah, I don't want it to look silly. I don't want it to look like it's just going to go bleh and kind of roll off our neck. I like it to have a bit of structure without having to use any spray starch. So let me know what you think I should do with that. There's the back of it, look. It's lovely, isn't it? And it's a shame to kind of... I've seen a lot of these Icelandic and Norwegian style jumpers where it is just basically quite a wide neckline with just the stitching at the top, and it is a shame to spoil that. However, it's also a shame to make something that's going to look like she should be in the 80s and wearing a medallion. You know, I'll just put this back in my bag. Do you know, me and Emma went to the cinema, as I've complained about, to see Kingsman 2, which I hated every second of. And there was a woman beside us in the cinema, and you could really tell that she was a mother, because first of all, I hated her a little bit. Halfway through the film, even though it was rubbish and I shouldn't have really cared, she dug out this enormous packet of crisps, which was really massive and really noisy. And whenever I go to the cinema, I always forget how much I loathe being in such close contact with other people when you're meant to be in a quiet environment, because inevitably everybody makes so much noise with their popcorn and their crisps. Anyway, she was faffing on eating all of these crisps, and then she got a bag of popcorn out, which was equally noisy, and sat there opening it. And then when she finished, instead of doing what normal people do and just kind of shoving the packets under the seat with her feet, she paid 12 quid to see the film. You actually keeping the cleaner in employment. I know that's wrong, it's fine, I know. She picked the packets up that were really noisy. She folded them into small squares and she put them in a carrier bag. Girlfriend, unless you hated the film as much as I did and she was just looking for a distraction. I've done a little bit more, I think. I can't actually remember. I think I've done a little bit more of my susurration socks in the Gather colourway. which I think are looking smashing. And I've sold all of this now. Last one sold last night of this colour. So hopefully we'll be seeing some of these beauties popping up on Instagram before long. Though I know not the entire world is addicted to Instagram like what I am. And I must say, I'm really excited and really thankful and grateful that I've got over 1,000 followers on Instagram for my stuff. How did that happen? When I first started in self-employment, it was like 8 years ago, and it was so easy. If you were making something that not everybody else was making, you were automatically at the top of your game, and you like stayed there for years, and it was fine because there was hardly any competition. And you'd just have loads of followers on Facebook, a massive queue of people waiting for you to do work for them. Now it's just such a different kettle of fish. So although I've got over 1,000 followers on my Facebook page, that doesn't translate to sales. So it's still like every single facet of what you do is completely different. Anyway, I have plans for the future, and I don't want it to be about selling and stuff, but I'll just blather on about that later. So yeah, that way every time I do it wrong, and you can see the wheat travelling up. So I'm chuffed to bits with these. I think they might be for Emma as well though, because I'm sure I've made them too small. And I think I might have said this last time actually, but look how neat they are. Can you see the oh, can you see? Don't know why I'm talking at the camera like that. I do apologise. It's like I'm talking to a dog, isn't it? The really neat increases on the gusset. Oh, that was my phone. That Vicky uses. Lovely. My camera is actually going to switch off, and that is quite good timing. I shall see you after I've been out for coffee with Sarah. Toodaloodles. Hiya, I'm back. It's pitch black outside and I'm in the shed. Mark keeps looking up from in the kitchen and pointing and laughing because it's lit up like Blackpool illuminations, even though it probably still does a little bit dark. I've reapplied my lipstick and I've put some concealer under my eyes. However, no, we'll see. Right, so yeah, Sarah, she's turned out to be a midwife. She's a little bit younger than me. She's got 3 kids. We met over 11 years ago now, when Sylvie was a baby. We were both training to be antenatal teachers with the NC team. We were doing the same class, and we've just kept in touch. She's as cynical as I am, and it's a good pairing actually. It's quite nice. Yeah, I'll put a picture of it in here just so you can see what she looks like. You should give me permission to do that. Something else I've been working on a little tiny bit, as you can see, just a little bit. A little bit more is the slip stitch socks. I did a tutorial for, can you see I'm bending my hand trying to get it in the shot, a tutorial for the true Afterthought heel, which I've got on YouTube as well if you're stuck with that and you want to have a look. If you've got any questions about that, give me a shout. But basically I think everything's there, and there's loads. Like I said, my friend Phil said, like, there's not already 20 million of these videos out there already, and I'm like, yeah, I know, but still I want to do one. So it's there for your perusal. This, I love this. It does, the front is tighter than the back, and that's just because you've got these stitches which are basically unknit, unknitted, yeah, slipped basically instead of knitted. So it does make the front a bit tighter than the back, and I guess it's a bit like an eye of partridge heel, isn't it, but in a different order. That could be totally wrong. But yeah, I'm really enjoying that. I had that at hospital with me this morning, and I got about 1 centimetre done. But honestly, it's so efficient. The entire process has been incredibly efficient, which is disappointing because when I went for the appointment last week, with having 3 separate appointments in the one morning, I thought I'd have loads of time to knit, and I got absolutely nothing done. Thanks, NHS. I wanted to make progress. How dare you? How very dare you? So that's that one. And something, I'm just trying to figure out where to put it. Oh, excuse me, sniffing. I feel a bit better than what I did before, even though I've just had a decaffeinated coffee. Coffee and a tea cake. Right, something else which I'm quite excited about is this, that I have dug from the pile of never to be seen again whips and actually made an effort with. It's Tin Can Knits Clay Quat. I don't know how to say it, I'm sorry, you'll just have to have a look on Ravelry. Again, I'll put everything in the notes. And it's colourwork cardigan. It's got colourwork at the top and at the bottom, and I believe this was knit bottom up in the round, and the arms, so you knit the body, then you knit the arms, and then you join it under the arms, and then you knit the yoke. And I spun, this is, I think it's Shetland, that I spun myself, my own hand spun, and I found that I had a bobbin. I'd given up because I thought, oh, I don't want to have to spin anymore to finish off knitting the cardigan. But I found I had a bobbin of it, and I also had a random ball of it in the shed that I found. It's like, oh yeah, again, I can finish it off. So I've got this button band done, but that was already done. So since I spoke to you last time, I've actually done another button band and then unpicked it because it wasn't right. I need to use smaller needles, but I will definitely have this finished this week. It weighs an absolute ton. I know that some of the yarn that I've bought for the colour work that I'm doing weighs virtually nothing, but this is like, it's really heavy. It's like a coat. Oh, I don't know. Initially it was made for Emma, you know, this Emma person that I keep talking about. Not for last Christmas, possibly for the one before. I don't think it was meant for the one before that. And it is quite beautiful. If you can see the colours, like reds and greens, perfect for Christmas. It's got a bit of purple in it as well, and it's all hand spun. And it is a thing of beauty, but I need to just finish off that button band. Somebody suggested actually on one of the podcasts when I showed this initially that I should put a zip in, but I'm not that technically minded. But I do think it would be nice to put a zip in a steeked cardigan, because then you can kind of fold. It's probably a totally different way to do it, but in my mind you can fold that over and hide the steeked edge. Anyway, before I knitted this, I followed the pattern and then I zigzagged along the edges. And that just wrecked it, because the zigzag stretches the fabric, the way the foot of the sewing machine moves along the fabric that you've knitted. It's just not a good idea to do that. I wouldn't recommend it. And I think that was with the walk and foot sewing machine as well. Oh, and I've just realised I've got to graft the armpits as well. I think that's the beauty of doing a top-down yoked sweater or cardigan, that you don't then have to graft your holy pits, do you? It's all kind of like done in one go. Anyway, it's nearly finished and I am going to finish it, and it actually fits B, although it's a bit long. So I'm going to say this out loud, even though I know for a fact it's not going to happen. What I thought was I could cut it and then graft this colour work back onto the body, but I'm just going to leave it long. And what I could have done with all the different textures, it's really nice. It does pill a little bit as well, but it's got a lovely halo. I just hope I'm not allergic to it, which seems to be the theme of my life at the minute, doesn't it? Yeah, probably just going to leave it the way it is. But it does weigh an absolute ton. So I think I must have spun it quite tight. So I should be able to climb through barbed wire and it'll be like armour. But you might not be able to stand up in it because it's going to weigh so much. Never mind. So there's that one. And then other than that, the only thing that I've been working on, I say the only thing, I've actually done quite a lot, haven't I, is the Flea ladies cardigan, which is on Ravelry. And I can't remember the proper name for it, but I will put it on the screen. It would be a bit rude not to. And I saw this on Skein Day's podcast. And on, oh, just putting my tea down, excuse me. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to have a go at that. I like it. It's done in, whoops. I think we went over to Seaburn last Saturday. What day is it today? Thursday. Saturday at about 5 o'clock so I could buy the wool. And I've made jolly good progress. What? Yeah, look. So this is a pattern on Ravelry. I went to Lucy Lock at Land and Seam because I knew she had Jamieson and Smith in stock. And this is 2-ply jumper weight yarn. On the pattern it says to use the Spindrift, which is another 2-ply jumper weight yarn. But from reading, doing a bit of research on Mr. Dr. Huge Brain Google, it would appear that they're basically the same thing. And it was hilarious, you know, when we got there was a girl in the car park. She must have been having a bit of a panic on. She didn't realise there was like a curb and a path in front of her, so instead of reversing out of the car park she decided to drive straight forward, and she managed to get her car pivoted on this little cement path thing in between two car parking spaces. She couldn't go forwards and she couldn't go backwards, so after a considerable amount of pointing and laughing, Mark and I went over and helped. We just kind of pushed as she accelerated. I told the kids to scarp her in case they were in a line of fire as I car jetted backwards over this path. It was just the most bizarre thing I've seen in a long time, but I was thankful for it because it was quite entertaining. Poor lass, I bet she was mortified. So yes, these are the colours that I bought. And I've got this lovely ginger one as well. Aren't they, Bonnie? I was going to go down the pinks and purple route, but I took Annabelle with me, and these are the colours that she likes, so these are the ones that we stuck with. And I think it gives a lovely vintage palette with the kind of gingery colour, and it's all like heathery and kind of mottled. It's not just flat, the colour's not really flat and boring. It's very interesting to knit with, and it just feels lovely. I was worried that it would feel, I'll show you the inside, I was worried it would feel really prickly and horrible, but it doesn't. I mean, it's not smooth, it's not merino, but it's fab, and I love the inside. I'll show you the back so there's no sticky stitches in the way. And you got all your floats. There's no floats that I can think of that are longer than 4 stitches, so you don't even have to worry about kind of catching them in. I do anyway because I knit two-handed. I do stranded colour work with left and right hand, and I think that automatically I kind of catch my floats in, but I haven't really had to think about it with this one. And it's very light. Unlike the Tin Can Knits one that I just showed you there that weighs the same as the person. This is just really, really light. And the yarn is good. I really am enjoying knitting with this. It's a pleasure. I'm using, I think the pattern says to use size 3 needles, but I'm using 3.25 because I know that my gauge is tight on the colour work. And I've just kept the 3.25 through the body of the cardigan as well. And I'm following the instructions where the steek is concerned. I've got pearl stitches and stockinette stitches to steek. Obviously I can't say too much, it's a paid for pattern, so you'll just have to buy it and have a leg. Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to finishing it off. I've tried it on her, it's a little bit big, but it looks great. And people, I've posted a picture of it on Instagram, and a couple of people have been like, wow, you're so fast. It's tiny. She's only 7. It is, I think it's an adult size pattern, and I've done the smallest size, so realistically it should fit a human of some description somewhere. None that I know, other than a child, but it's going to look super. I haven't done the short rows in the back. Again, my head wasn't really in the right place. I just wanted to knit, and I find that I can knit colour work as quickly as I can knit just stockinette. Well, that's all it is, isn't it, really? And I love that when you stick your work, if you've done this flat or if you've done it in separate pieces, I know for a fact that the fronts would not match. They would be completely, one would be up, one would be down, and it just would look bizarre. But because of this steek, it's just going to match perfectly. And I was also a bit worried about doing the collar in the cream, but I think it looks great. So I hope you like it. And just, if you haven't done any colour work, have a look at the pattern and just do some swatches and try and get your head around it. It's just, for me, it's no more difficult than doing just straight stockinette, but it's more interesting because you've got to use both of your hands, and I guess it engages a different part of your brain, and you've got to figure out the colours, which I'm not usually so good at, but I think these have gone together really well. The green is gorgeous. It's got little flecks of, I don't know if you can see, like I said, it's dark outside, little flecks of yellow and orange in it. It's really, really nice. And then the purple for the body has got different colours in it as well. I'm over the moon with it, actually. I'm really looking forward. I think last week I showed you the Marie Wannon book that I bought on a whim, as you do, which was it would be handy if I could talk out the back of my head which was a whim buy, and it's called Shetland, and she uses the Jamieson Smith, I did talk about this last week, I can remember, the Jamieson Smith yarns throughout, so I'll have plenty of scraps left from this cardigan to knit something, but I am really looking forward to making that. Like, really looking forward to it after I've seen this. And I was tempted to order the Holts Garn from Finland to make it, but now that I've got some of that and I can see a comparison between the two, I will definitely be using Jamieson Smith. This is only 25 grams and it was £2.95, so it works out as £12 for 100 gram. However, if you look at the meterage, it's 115 meters per 25 grams. So what, that's 230 per 50 grams, which is, it's quite a lot. You know, it's not bad, the yardage isn't bad, and I think it's woolen spun. There's a lot of air and a lot of body in there, so you do get a good amount of yardage for your money. And there's piles left from what I've just done. you know, you're always going to have scraps, and I guess that's the beauty of colour work. In ye olden days, you know, interwar period or during the war, women would knit fair isle jumpers or just colour work jumpers using any scraps that they had lying around. They didn't spend £2.95 on a 25-gram ball of wool specifically for a job, unless they were minted, I suppose, but there wasn't much of that about, was there? Especially not in the northeast. So yeah, it's great. I'm happy to have lots of scraps and lots of leftovers. I think it'll encourage more creativity. Then again, it might just sit in the bottom of a box for a long time and not be used. I'm not sure. So yes, I've got that on the needles, and that's going to lead me on to the Holts garn. So I'm just going to dig it out from behind me. Excuse me again. Could do with a table in front of me, couldn't I? Well, I've actually got several, but never mind. They've all got stuff on them. Mostly sewing machines. So I think I said last time that I was going to do the Birkin sweater from the, I think it's the second edition of Lane magazine. Yes, number 2. And this calls for wool, Brooklyn tweed loft, 100% Wyoming grown Targhee Columbia wool, 250 meters to 50 grams, or other fine fingering weight yarn. So let's get the picture up. There's the picture, which is lovely, and this is the yarn that I bought, and it's Holts garn. I ordered it from Finland, I think I said as well. I'm doing well at repeating myself, aren't I? I'm a bit nervous about it because it's very, yeah, it's a 2-ply yarn like the Jamieson and Smith, but it's very fine. So I know that it's fresh from the mill. Hasn't been washed, hasn't been processed, it's simply spun, so all the spinning oil's still in it, and I'm hoping that it's a bit compressed. So I've started doing the neck, but what I'm going to do is abandon this for a while, and I'm going to knit a swatch, because I need to use bigger needles than the pattern states, you know, for gauge. It's pointless looking at what they suggest for needle size. You've got to do it according to your gauge. So I'm going to swatch, wash and block. Just to see if it fluffs up in it, to make sure that it's got plenty of body. Otherwise, I think it's a big project to invest time in if it's not going to work. But the colours are just stunning, so I hope it does. So that's for the body. Then I've got this beautiful, can't really see, can you, because it's dark, like a dark green, a gold. It's much easier to hold it when it's in the balls. Dark green, a gold, this gorgeous dark blue, and then this like wine colour. Can you see? Yeah, look, that's not so bad. They're like jewel colours, they're lovely. I'm very excited anyway, but I must finish Sunset Highway and Low P tri-step before I do anything else. Otherwise I think I'll get into like a bit of a knitting crisis. Considering all the problems are in the world, that's a bit ridiculous, but it could happen, and I'd like to avoid it if at all possible. Thank you very much. And other than that, what I've done, I've just kind of gone through the drawers and had a look at things that I've made this year to remind myself how much I've actually done, because sometimes it's hard to see when stuff's shoved in drawers or when you've got loads of scarves that you've given away or that you don't wear. This behind me is the Solja pattern. I think it was published in one issue of Pom Pom a while ago, but it's on Ravelry, and I made this this year in the summer, which is why it's got short sleeves, and I love it. It's beautiful. It's such a lovely pattern. If you haven't seen it, come on love, sit on me knee. There you go. Are you comfy? She's a bit headless, she can't talk to me. She hasn't actually got a mouth, but still. So it's got patterns along the top, and it was great. I hate it when you get 3 colours in a row. It does me head in. However, it was worth it, and there wasn't very much of that. So it was nice to knit a sweater that was, I think it was bottom up. But it's interesting because you had the lace work in the bodies. That's definitely worth a go. Let me get this out the way before I pull all the stitches off. And I've got Prairie Fire Tin Can Knits, which is one of my favourite patterns. And that's knitting my yarn, Cloud Bursting. So I made that for Sylvie. I think that was an adult size medium. That's just such a lovely thing to knit. I love that pattern. I think I've done about 4 in total. Here's another one that I've done this year. See how it looks different in the different yarn? It looks much better in the other one, but never mind. Little t-shirts for them, for the girls. Flax, tin can knits. I did this in super chunky wool. In all kinds of different colours. And I think this is great if you don't want to, you know, all these fade patterns and stuff that are coming out. If you don't want to spend loads of money on different patterns every other day, stick with flax. There's a chunky one, or you can do it in flax light, which is knit in 4-ply, and it's a lovely pattern. It really is. I've got the Allen and Odell Touch the Sky that I finished this year, which I love, and that's knit in my yarn Juliet. Isn't that lovely? Oh look, there's a gangly bit hanging. Oh, never mind. I do think we should have a Nodal along at some point. And then Pavement, which I'm a bit meh about. You know, it's alright. I don't love it. This colour leaks all over the place. It's not one of mine, thankfully. It's a pain in the backside. When you put it in the sink and you see the colour all spilling out, it's like, oh, not again. Very annoying. What else have I done? And the Susan Crawford Vintage top. I love Susan's patterns. They're all very small, but they're very nice. So yeah, there's that one as well. That I've done this year, and I'm going to be like that woman in the cinema. I'm going to put everything back in my bag while I'm here, so I don't have to do it later. I think that's about it for stuff that I've done, stuff I've got on my needles. As for knitting plans, I've got the Birkin sweater that I want to knit, and I thought about joining the Selbu Midden Club, which is something that's been run by Skandia on Ravelry. I think you get a new pattern every month in their colourwork mitts. Just to use up some scraps and some bits of hand-spun. I think that would be a good idea. And then I'm thinking about Christmas presents as well, actually. Just little easy things that people can actually wear, not things that are going to take forever. I bought this book a while ago, Knitting from the North, and I wasn't that overawed by it. I thought, yeah, it's alright, but I'll never knit anything actually. But the more I look at it, the more I like it. And there's, I'll try to show you this without putting the chart in. I love this little hat. I think that would look lovely. Oops. On a friend. Can you see it? It's quite cute with the colourwork at the top, so I'm going to have a go at that. And that's it. Feels a bit weird. I'll have to wait until I get my next pom-pom and my next lane for a bit of inspiration, or I'll have to have a look around and see what other people are doing. Oh no! I bought a pattern to knit for me, but I can't remember what it's called. That's useful, isn't it? So I'll have that next week. And other than that, I was just going to show you this. I think I talked last week about Noodlehead, Anna Graham, who does a lot of sewing patterns that I really like. She does bags and they're all beautifully constructed, really well put together. I've got this book last year, I think, or it might be in this year. Time just flies. And it's got some lovely stuff in it. I've never made any of her clothes, but her bags are gorgeous and I love that. It's like a quilted hold all with leather straps. Really, really nice. It's a lovely book. I think it's, if you want to try something with patterns that you've just got in front of you, you don't have to faff on printing them out because the patterns are all in the back in a little folder, then it's well worth having a look at. They're easy, they're really well designed. She gives you loads of good instructions, and it's a solid foundation that you can build on to do lots of other things. I think that's it. So I'll love you and leave you. Take care, have a lovely week, and I'll see you next week.